When Daisy Ridley was 15, she was diagnosed with endometriosis. Painful periods, one laparoscopy, years of consultations. She thought that chapter was behind her. Then, 8 years later, something else showed up. Not pain this time. Her skin. She has described it as the worst it had ever been. Persistent, stubborn acne that no product could touch. She tried treatment after treatment, cleansers, antibiotics, more cleansers, more antibiotics. Nothing worked. Her confidence, by her own account, was in tatters. It took 8 years of tests before anyone connected the dots. The real cause was never her skincare routine. It was polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, a hormonal condition that had been quietly running her body's chemistry the entire time. Here's what makes her story so important. Daisy Ridley is not an outlier. PCOS affects an estimated 1 in 10 women of childbearing age, and researchers believe roughly half of them are never diagnosed. Not because the condition is rare, because it doesn't always look like what people expect. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what PCOS is doing inside the body, why it so often gets missed for years, and what actually helped Daisy Ridley find real progress. So you don't need 8 years of trial and error to get an answer she almost didn't get either. PCOS stands for polycystic ovary syndrome, but the name is misleading. It's not really about ovarian cysts. At its core, PCOS is a hormonal imbalance. Specifically, the body producing higher levels of androgens, the hormones often labeled male hormones, than it should. That single imbalance is why PCOS can look so different from woman to woman. For some, it shows up as irregular or missing periods because elevated androgens interfere with ovulation. For others, like Daisy Ridley, it shows up on the skin. Persistent acne along the jawline and chin that doesn't respond to typical skincare, because androgens increase oil production. For many women, it also shows up as unexpected hair growth on the face or body, hair thinning on the scalp, and weight that concentrates around the midsection and resists typical diet and exercise. There's another piece that rarely gets talked about: insulin resistance. A large percentage of women with PCOS have some degree of insulin resistance, meaning their bodies need more insulin to manage blood sugar. This connects directly to the weight changes many women experience, and it's also why diet has such an outsized effect on PCOS symptoms. Specifically, it's not about willpower. It's about how the body is processing sugar in the first place. This is exactly why PCOS is so often missed for years. A dermatologist sees acne and treats acne. A doctor sees irregular periods and prescribes birth control to regulate them, without ever testing for the underlying hormonal cause. Each symptom gets treated in isolation by a different specialist, and the pattern connecting all of them to one hormonal root cause never gets named. That is precisely what happened to Daisy Ridley for 8 years. Once Daisy Ridley finally had a diagnosis, what actually helped wasn't another cream or another prescription. It was working with a dermatologist who understood the hormonal root cause, alongside real dietary changes, specifically cutting back on dairy and reducing sugar. She's been open that this is what finally moved the needle after years of nothing working. This lines up with what's medically understood about PCOS. Because insulin resistance plays such a central role for many women with the condition, reducing sugar and refined carbohydrates often has a more direct effect on symptoms than most people expect. It's not a cure, but for many women, it's the first thing that actually changes the picture. So here's what to actually do if any of this sounds familiar. First, know that PCOS does not always look the same. You don't need every symptom, irregular periods, acne, hair changes, weight shifts to have it. Even 1 or 2 can be worth investigating. Second, if you've been treating acne, irregular periods, or stubborn weight changes as separate, unrelated problems, ask your doctor directly whether they could share one hormonal cause. Third, ask specifically to be tested for PCOS, blood work checking hormone and androgen levels, and often an ultrasound rather than waiting for someone to suggest it. Fourth, if a doctor treats only the symptom in front of them without asking why it's happening, you're allowed to ask for that fuller picture. or find someone who will give it to you. Daisy Ridley spent 8 years being treated for symptoms before anyone told her they were connected. You don't need 8 years to find that out either. You just need someone to tell you directly. And now you know. Share this with a woman who's been fighting acne that won't clear, a cycle that won't regulate, or weight that won't move, no matter what she tries. Subscribe to Health a Woman. Science-backed women's health every week. Your body is not broken. It is just waiting for you to understand it.